Just say whatever you wanted to.
Okay.
That's what a cold open.
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, Bobby, Chase, what is your favorite traditional and non-traditional hamburger? Like, how do you take your burger at a barbecue with family, and if you're going to a restaurant and they've got a bunch of like crazy burgers, what's your favorite of each?
If I'm like at a backyard barbecue, I like pretty standard fare: bacon, cheese, ketchup, pickle. Usually do
bacon. Shit. What kind of barbecues do you go to where the host just has bacon laying around?
Damn. Yeah.
Usually when there's burgers, there's always bacon. Where I'm at.
Those fancy Maplewood parties that I haven't been invited to
the barbecues that you're going to. Then.
Well, we're not invited to those barbecues, Johnny.
If I go for like a fancy burger, now I make a lot of fancy burgers, but if I'm going out, one of my favorites is a bacon and blue, like a blue and bacon burgers, I think what they call it.
Sure.
So it's like a espresso rubbed burger patty with blue cheese and bacon.
That sounds delightful.
It's very good.
I don't know what the espresso's adding to that, but okay. The rest of it sounds great.
Yeah,
you get all hopped up while you're eating it.
But another one, like here in St. Louis, I really like that Mission Taco burger that they do at High Point. Like a good taco burger, I think is really good too.
Sure.
Okay. All right.
I had High Point today. Not a burger though. For me, it needs cheese. That's the important thing. If I'm at like a backyard thing, or if I'm just making one myself, like you got to put some cheese on it. I would also, if possible, get like some kind of greenery on that. Like if it just has to be like regular lettuce, whatever, that's fine. I like putting some spinach if I'm at home, like some baby spinach, or some like arugula, some nice peppery leaf on that. That tastes pretty good. And also A1 sauce. I like my burgers with the A1. But if I'm at like a fancy place, then I'm kind of with Bobby. I like a blue cheeseburger. I don't like blue cheese normally, but I like it on a burger for some reason.
Yep.
And you know what? I'm kind of a sucker for the fried egg, especially if it gets like drippy.
That's how Sarah is.
That's I'm kind of into that.
Johnny, right before you answer, I just got this week because I'm cooking burgers this weekend for everybody, and that's like my specialty. I just got this awesome cast iron spring loaded burger press to like make these really awesome patties.
Yeah.
So it's fucking awesome, and I'm gonna test it this weekend. Cannot wait.
That sounds delightful.
Mm-hmm.
For me, it's if it's cheese, it needs to be melted. If it's like I'm going through the buffet line and I'm throwing the patty on and it's not hot enough to melt the cheese, no cheese. Can't be cold. I don't like it. I don't want it. Don't need it.
I would still take cold cheese before I would take no cheese.
Yeah,
it's fair. It's fair. I understand. Sometimes I'll do it if the mood's right. And then mayo, mustard, tomato, pickle, some lettuce.
I do like a good pickle.
Yeah, man.
I'm like this close, Johnny. I sent it to Sarah. Have you seen the Blackstone grills?
Mm-mm.
You've worked at a kitchen before, right?
Yeah, I worked at Dairy Queen in high school. So does that count?
the cast iron griddle top that you would use, like the flat surface. It's basically an outdoor one of those, but like the same size as like a gas grill.
Okay.
And the one I'm looking at has a built-in air fryer on the side.
Oh my god!
So we're pretty damn close to picking that up.
That sounds amazing.
I'm very excited about getting that.
Oh man. And then like if I'm going a little like different, fancier, I love a mushroom Swiss burger.
It's classic.
Love a mushroom Swiss burger and the blue cheese one.
What about? So I don't like onion rings in general, but like a barbecue.
What?
Oh, dude.
With an onion ring, cheddar cheese.
Yep. Sure. Adds that crunch.
Like a Western or what do they call that? Like a Sam Elliott burger?
Like a Southwestern one, yeah.
Yeah, there's a place close to us called Chuck-a-Burger. That is a barbecue burger where the patty's covered in barbecue sauce, and they put a dollop of coleslaw on top of it.
Hell yeah.
And
I like coleslaw on top of my pulled pork barbecue sandwich.
Yeah, dude. It adds something to it.
I'm getting so
we don't have time.
I'm getting hungry. Let's talk about it.
Someday we'll have to talk about barbecue sauces because I have opinions. But for now, let's talk about video games, I guess.
This is the Casual Hour podcast, ostensibly about video games, but mostly about barbecue sauce and burgers. I'm Bobby Pease. Beneath me is Chase Kinnicky, and over to his side is Johnny Amizich. How are you both doing?
Doing all right.
Wow.
We've got a big episode tonight of what you've been playing. So we're going to break down some games, a few little teasers for you all. We're going to talk a little bit more about Kirby, the Forgotten Land. We've got a hot take on Patrick's Parabox and an even hotter take on...
Did he just cut out for you too, John?
Yes, he did.
Did he cut out for the stream? He did. He's talking to nobody. He said, we can't hear you.
Can't hear you.
We can't hear you.
Yep.
Well, Johnny, what have you been playing this week? Maybe we should just talk about that while this guy's doing. Is he turning off the stream, doing something bullshit? Okay. Well, when he gets back, we're going to start talking about Kirby and the Forgotten Land. I've played a little bit more of that. I got through World 2, played through the World 2 boss.
Okay.
And I'm starting World 3.
Toward the end of World 2. I've been going at a very leisurely pace with that game.
As have I. Like Bobby mentioned it on the episode we did before. That's not a thing that I want to marathon.
Yeah.
It is too repetitive. It's too easy. Oh, hey, there you go.
I don't think they couldn't have heard. Nobody heard you either for that.
No, they did. Oh, when I turned on the stream and it sounded okay.
Well, we're good. So, as I was saying, we got a big episode tonight. A lot of things we're going to discuss. A lot of video games. We're going to get into it.
Let's do it.
We were already into it. We were talking about Kirby.
Oh, well, Chase is up talking about Kirby, so let's hear what Chase has to say about Kirby.
Yeah, Johnny and I have both been talking about Kirby a little bit because we've both been playing it. He said he was at the end of around the end of World 2. I just finished World 2 and just started World 3. Generally, I think that game is still fine. I wish it was a lot more, but it's not, and that's okay.
Yeah.
And what it is perfectly fine. I got a couple more of those blueprints, so now I've got the chain bombs and the Katamari Damacy needle thing where it's just like all the shit stuck on Kirby. It's kind of fun.
Yet.
I just hit World 4.
Okay. Is it Is there anything new in World 4, or is it just more of the other worlds?
Do you guys want me to tell you kind of like some things that might change in the game, not necessarily in the gameplay? Or...
I mean, I guess I don't need to know what changes, but it would be nice to know that things change. And
there's anything different.
Does it become a more mechanically interesting game at some point, or is it, or because your problem before, we talked about it last week, was I found all the powers. I feel like I have most of the power ups at this point, and there's a lot of game left.
So I've got
where you are now. How do you feel about it?
So I got a third power up for one of my abilities. And I think there's even more on that one. But so like back in Waddle Dee Town, there's a second level to that opens up. And there's some pretty cool stuff that happens there. But as far as the actual game goes, the boss for the third world, I think was by far the most interesting to fight. And they introduced some like, I actually got to use that dodge mechanic that's in the game that like does the bullet time stuff. Do you guys know that you can do that?
I think I might have triggered that on accident.
I don't think I've done
I couldn't remember
how to do it. If you hold down the block button, which is your left trigger, at the right time, you just move your stick left or right. If you time it, and it's a very generous window, you do a bullet time cartwheel type thing. I did that a few times to that boss fight, and that was pretty nice. But other than that, no. And I gotta like. I'm seeing all these tweets about like, this is my game of the year and it's so great. And I'm just like, is it me? Am I missing something? Like,
I saw a person on Twitter that just screenshotted like 100% complete on Kirby. Like, why would you do that to yourself? Why would you play that much Kirby that quickly?
I know.
Like it's not a bad game.
No,
it's a perfectly fine video game. It's good.
But coming off of how much I love Dying Light 2, how much I love Horizon Forbidden West, how much I really love like all these games that I really loved and felt very strongly about. Kirby's been, and now Tunic. Like that game is incredible, and Kirby's like it's good, but it's not blowing me away. I guess like
I'm not actively loving it, and I'm not actively disliking it.
Yeah, like I find it very charming. I've always loved Kirby as a character. So it's got that going for it. Like it's got charm for days.
Yep.
And I always did like those old 2D Kirby games. I've actually been playing a little bit of the old ones on my Analog Pocket over the last few weeks or so. But yeah, like I don't know. Like I was really excited to see like get such good reviews and stuff, but as I'm playing it, I'm like this. I don't know. It's not hitting the way that some of these other games I played this year have, and maybe that just speaks to the quality of the things that I played before this, and less so about how good Kirby is. But
Chase, our quick looks up at the time of this recording for Kirby, and I think that you and I talked quite a bit about how the game hits in there, and you even call out, you're like, I feel like we're kind of being hard on the game, which I don't think we were. I think we're giving an honest assumption of it. Like all three of us right now, I would not say that we dislike the game, but I think that
not at all.
We were hoping for a little bit more.
Yeah, it's not a game like I'm playing it and maybe clearing a level or two levels. I'm not sitting through and marathoning it like I would like in a game like Mario Odyssey, where it's like I'm finding everything that's in this level that I can, and I'm gonna do the same thing on this. Like I wanted to keep going because it kept doing interesting things with all the levels that I was being introduced to, and all the cap powers and stuff. And the mouthful mode is a neat idea, but I'm just
it's very cool. It's
the things that they have you doing with it aren't that interesting. Like
it's very limited too.
Yeah.
Like here is the section of the level that you use mouthful mode, and here's the thing that's stopping you from continuing to use that mode, the cool power stuff, past this point. You can't get the car Kirby past this point. He can't jump high enough as the vending machine to get over here, so you just have to spit it out. And that's fine. I mean, it breaks up the gameplay a little bit, and that's okay. But it just feels a little limiting. And you mentioned Mario Odyssey. I know I've mentioned it too, where that game has a density of secrets. Yeah. And even though it's not, I wouldn't call that game an open world. It's kind of just open levels.
Yeah.
And Kirby's not that. Kirby is just extremely linear, and it does have some secret pathways and things like that. I think there's certainly things to find in that game, but I just wish it was more.
I'm not going back to find all the Waddle Dees that I missed.
Yeah, I'm at the point now, and again, I'm only finished with the second world. I'm at the point is like I'm just going to do enough to unlock the final boss for each world, and then I'm moving on because I just have no interest in digging back in through for the very limited amount of secrets that I miss on the first playthrough, and that's
I also
fine by
think,
me.
Not to dig up this conversation again, but like we've talked at length on this show about running a podcast, the way that we do especially, and the pressures that we put on ourselves that nobody else asks us to do about playing video games. And I think that we move at a pace sometimes, and a game like Kirby feels like you're stalling out almost, or that like I got to get through this game to get to the next one, where like Johnny, you called it out earlier, we called it out in the quick look chase, you've mentioned it a few times as well. This is a great game in small doses, and I think that the way that this year especially, like if you look at February and March, I mean more for Johnny and I than you in this case, Chase, but like there was so many games that came out that really impacted us that like
and ones that I'm still playing. Like
absolutely.
I don't care about those games, but you guys absolutely would spend a Saturday, and by spend a Saturday I mean 4, 5, 6 hours sitting there playing Horizon or playing Elden Ring.
Absolutely.
And I would do something similar with Triangle Strategy, even though I'm not super enamored with that game. It's a game that at least I was to the point of like, okay, I'm gonna sit down and I'm gonna play a good chunk of this thing, or I'm going to watch a good chunk of these cutscenes and play 2 battles, maybe. And that's my 4 hours of gameplay for the day. And Kirby, I just doesn't have that kind of staying power. It's a great one of those kinds of games. I don't want to denigrate it by calling it a kid's game, but I think it's something that you could give to a child, and they could have a very fun time because it is a mechanically sound game. It's not kids game in the way that we call things that kind of suck that maybe a kid would like because it has bright colors. Like, it's a solid game, but I think it's missing something from a density standpoint that makes it take that leap into something I would care about a lot more.
Yeah.
But like we've said, I'm going to keep doing those small doses. I might go like a world at a time, or maybe half a world at a time is even better. I will tell you, I did try the Stair challenge, and I did that one twice, and went, okay, I'm either not smart enough or not fast enough to get this, and I don't think I care about the one star point thing I'd get out of this. Yep. So I'm just going to kind of back away slowly, but I'm glad something like this is in here. That's the only way you
can move when you're a Stair. It's the most uncomfortable movement. It's like me at a Golden Corral. Like, you just don't move well after you've been there for a little bit.
You just sidle. Yes. That's what you do.
Let me slide on by and grab the ranch.
Let me move on here. I want to talk about another Nintendo game that's somewhat disappointed. But is mechanically sound. I want to talk about Mario Golf Super Rush. I loaded that up today because I was watching some YouTube videos, not about this, about other shit, and thought I just want to have like a game to play that I don't have to pay too much attention, just on in the background. And you know what might be fun? Golf. That'd be fun. So I loaded that up. There was an update that I had not taken because I guess I haven't played that game recently enough for that to care about an update. And there's some shit in there that's been added. I knew they added a couple courses. I didn't know they added a couple courses after that. It appears that there.
How many?
I think there are 4 new courses from what there was in the original game.
Okay.
There's a snow course now. I didn't play that one. There's another desert one that I haven't played. The 2 that I did play are the 2 newest, though. One of them is I forgot what it's called. The gimmick is that they're all par 3s, so they're all really short holes that you could potentially hole in one every single one of them. So it's kind of more like a skill-based challenge. And for the front half, they're all just pretty easy. Light wind, sunny skies. And then once I got to hole 9, things got stormy, and there were a bunch of those towers that have like the cyclones on them.
Yeah.
And I thought, oh, okay, I guess the fun's over. And it wasn't that bad, but it did start adding a little bit more challenge and a lot more slopes and a lot more interesting kind of holes for that. But they're all still par 3s. You could conceivably get holes in one on all of them.
Nice.
And how'd you do?
I did okay. I got a minus 14
Okay.
under.
Nice job.
It felt fine to me. One of them was a double bogey because it was very difficult, and yet still I somehow came out of that with a minus 14. So I felt about right about that.
Yeah.
The last course that's in there is pretty cool. It's called like an all-star course, and when you look up, the course is a bunch of the Mario characters. And it's a course made up of those, like they're cookie cutter looking things. And all of the stuff on the faces are detailed with different materials of the course.
Oh, awesome.
So like Toad's face is a green, but a patch, like one of the spots on his head where the mushroom stuff goes, one of those spots is like a dense rough. Whereas the rest of it, like the white part of Toad's head / hat, whatever you want to call it, that is like a fairway. Yeah.
That's really
Whereas like another part of him would be bunkers, and they do that for every character, and it's just a bunch of smashed. It's like a big mural of characters that are then covered in rocks and sand traps and dense rough and regular rough and fairways and greens. And it looks pretty cool. And there's also a bunch of shit in the sky. There's a bunch of blocks, like the bricks, up in the sky, which I thought were obstacles. I thought, okay, well, you got to avoid these blocks. That would just make sense, right? No, you can just hit your ball right through them. I think it slightly alters the path of the ball when I did hit one, but a coin was in there. I don't know what the coins do. There are a bunch of coins in the air, too, that you can collect if your ball goes near them. I don't think it helps you in any way. It didn't count my coins anywhere. But I played through that course too. That has some fun holes in it. There are a couple that are really interesting because just a ton of, like Bowser's face or like Bowser's in the clown car. I think the clown car part is basically all sand trap. So there's a couple like difficult kind of holes in there. And I think that stuff is kind of cool. I didn't do nearly as well. I think I got like a -8 or -9 on that. Most importantly, though, they've added a couple new characters in there as well. Let's see. Ninja, I think, was one of the first ones they added.
Dope.
I thought there was another one in there before these last two that I want to talk about. Can't remember. Wiggler is now added into the group, which is a kind of a weird choice, I thought.
Yeah.
And then my boy, Shy Guy.
Shy Guy's
the
there
number
now.
one Mario Kart racer.
They finally put Shy Guy in there?
Shy Guy is in the game.
Hell yeah.
And Shy Guy kicks ass. He's
awesome,
a very
man.
technical golfer. He's pretty good.
Maybe
so I had a
we
lot of
should
fun
fire
playing
that up
through
again.
that.
Maybe we should fire that up another Friday on stream.
Maybe. It seems like there's also a couple of other modes that they've added. There's like a skills challenge course that's in that kind of Tron looking area,
Oh,
but
yeah,
it
yeah,
seems
yeah,
like
yeah,
that's
yeah.
more about like how close to the hole can you get on these different shots. I didn't play through any of that. It just sounded kind of fun. Yeah, so all that's pretty neat, and it still plays like a dream. It's just it really was just that story mode that was kind of a bummer. And then I looked on Twitter and saw right after I closed the game and was like, okay, well that was a fun little bit of golf. Nintendo of America goes and tweets this. Let me read this to you. Get into the swing. Tee off with Mario and friends when Mario Golf comes to Nintendo Switch for Nintendo Switch Online Plus Expansion Pass members on 4/15. So we are getting the Nintendo 64 Mario Golf on the Nintendo Switch Online thing. So that's one of the Mario Golfs that I have not played. For whatever reason, I just didn't pick up the N64 one. I hear that one is kind of hard.
It is.
And I'm looking forward to digging
that.
in and hitting the links.
I'm gonna check
I know
that
I
out.
played
for
it,
sure.
but I never owned it. I played it at like my cousin's house or something.
Yeah.
Dope.
My wonder though, because I think I have bought Mario Golf for the N64 at some point. I still haven't played it. I think I just have it. And I definitely have Mario Golf for the Game Boy Color. Should I play the Nintendo Switch one, or should I transfer or whatever? I use the N64 transfer pack, which we've talked about on this show. We've done a deep dive on, and bring in my golf character to then play in the N64 version.
Do that.
Yes.
Yeah, I should probably do that. If I'm going to stream it, I'm definitely going to do that.
You should do that.
I wonder if I have all the things and like a good save file for all that stuff. We'll see. But that sounds like fun. So that's basically what I've been playing. I mean, I've been playing Pokemon Shining Pearl with Johnny. We're still close to the end of that Nuzlocke. I think we only have a couple episodes left. And that's been going fine. It's still Pokemon. I've been playing Super Robot Wars, of course, and you know how that's going. I've been playing a little bit of Destiny, and of course you know how that's going. I'm playing lots of games, just not stuff that's really worth talking about here.
You're still kicking the can. Appreciate it, man.
Yeah, and still throwing in a triangle strategy in there every once in a while.
So
and trying to get through that second playthrough.
Talked a little bit about Kirby. We talked about Mario Golf Super Rush and the Mario Golf coming to Nintendo Switch Online. He's still playing some of those classic household titles like Super Robot Wars and Destiny 2. I'm going to step up to the plate and tell you all about some new games that I've been playing and I'm pretty excited about. First up, this game's a fucking trip, y'all. Patrick's Parabox. This game came out on March 29th. It is.
Johnny, you should pull up do YouTube video reveal trailer or release trailer, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Like one that's only like a minute long, and just watch a little bit of that for me while Bobby talks about it.
Yeah, this is made by Patrick Traynor. I don't know how to pronounce his last name. This is an incredibly wild take on puzzles. So it's a 2D puzzle using a cube within cubes. And if you think
it's like a Sokoban.
Yes.
Like Sokoban's the block moving puzzles.
Yeah.
But it's got a bit of a twist to it.
And I would say that it's got some DNA a little bit from like the mind fuckery that you got from like a Baba Is You. And this thing cascades inwards. So like think like nesting Russian dolls almost. And so like there might be
I gotta buy this.
Dude, it's so fucking good. It's
a recursive puzzle game.
It is amazing. And it's $20 on Steam. There is a demo you can download right now. I don't know what else it's on, if anything. But it's got such...
Or only on PC anyway.
The way it moves is so polished. Like, it's got a great sound to it. The soundtrack's amazing. It's just a game that, like, I've already worked through. So it segments off into worlds. And when you get into the first one, they do a really good job of teaching you about, like, hey, this is a challenging game. Like, here's some tips. Envision what you think the end of this puzzle will look like. Work your way backwards sometimes on how you would move pieces around. But you'll do crazy things. Like, so one block might look like a U, and you'll go into it, and then it's like another world inside of that box that you can move stuff around. So, like, it's using what would seem very simple when you look at a puzzle, but then it just expands and goes deeper and deeper. It's like Inception. It's fucking crazy. Like, how deep does this Inception go? And it's so good. It's just so damn good. I can't wait to make a quick look for it. If I ever have a solo night on stream, I will probably embarrass myself and try and play this because it is fucking hard. But I just got it today. I'm almost through the first level. I've had some pretty good success on the first one.
Again, didn't we?
No.
Hello?
All right. Well, while Bobby figures that out, I can tell you more about this game.
Hear Bobby.
You can hear me.
It's kind of recursive in the same way that if
Johnny
you play that.
Johnny
okay,
can
we
hear
can
me.
hear you now.
Yeah.
Johnny could hear me the whole time.
You sure?
Yeah.
Yes, he was saying that. It was you.
Okay. I didn't hear you.
Well, yeah, that's what you were saying.
It didn't sound like me. Anyway, I'll keep talking then, because this game, I mean, it plays a lot like Baba Is You, in that you're just kind of pushing stuff around. but it also reminds me of that Annapurna interactive game Maquette that was also kind of recursive. Like, oh, there's like the little there's little stuff in this world, and if I move it around, it actually moves stuff in the bigger world, or even like a smaller world that's going on there. There's another VR game called The Fisherman's Tale that's also very similar. Like, what do you do in here that changes that? I wonder though if it's going to try to pull the same kind of thing that something like The Witness did, and do a hey, yeah, you're in the level select area, and then it turns out that the level select area is actually a different stage on its own or something, and there's some way to recurse yourself in or out of that. I think, Babbiz, you had that, didn't it? Like you'd walk around like an overworld, and yet you could also change some stuff in there too.
I think this is going to end up being a lot like deeper within that's I don't know if it's going to be like that much of a mind fuck where it's like trying to break the game, but it
seems pretty mind fucky.
I can tell you right now, like, I cannot wait to play this on a Steam Deck. I think that would be an awesome experience for this, and like being able to play it that way. I don't see how it doesn't come to other things. Like, it's got controller support right now as well if you want to play it that way. But $20 available with a demo currently on Steam. It works on Windows and Mac as well, so you can play it on either one of those platforms. It seems to be pretty low impact, like you're just using the arrow keys. A few things I'll call out. There's no penalty for time. So it even says like solving a puzzle quickly doesn't mean that that's cool, but don't put that constraint on yourself. And it has an undo button and a reset button. And it wants you to explore both of those quite a bit. There's no penalty for it. There's no like you beat this with this many moves. Like it's literally just a pass or a fail state. So like that's it. And there's not really even a fail state. You back out and go through it. So there seems to be some stuff like outlier, like bonus missions that you can do. The overworld kind of looks like Mario 3 overworld type stuff that you would experience. I can't say enough good things about the first impression it's making. I can't wait to explore more of it. Check that game out for sure. The next game I've put about 45 minutes in for the full release, and that is a game called Koromon. And if you
my favorite Digimon.
Yeah. It's a good one.
So Koromon is a creature collector. It is a very much a Pokemon-esque game, and it is doing some interesting things on expanding a little bit more depth on what you would want from one of those games. So you're leveling up and evolving these creatures, the Koromon, and there's different types that you would expect, just like for one of those creature collector games, but you are unlocking potential alongside levels. And so there's a potential cap that you would get. And when you do that, you're going in like in an RPG and you're adding skill points to attributes like special attack, physical attack, HP, special defense, all that. And you can really change the characteristics of your Koromon that way. You also wear a gauntlet. That's what you use to basically catch and control. And it looks like, I haven't unlocked it completely yet, but there's abilities. So like when you're in the lab, one of the people are showing like kind of this concussive push. So think about like some of the like cut, swim, all that shit you would do in Pokemon, your gauntlet has, and like one of them is shooting a fireball out. There's 6 elements that you're trying to collect that go in to unlock the true potential of this power that you're trying to uncover. And that's really where the game gets set out. So you are able to create a character, pretty robust. I mean, for all intents and purposes, like Pokemon are like you're playing as a child and you're breaking away from home and going on this journey. Like my character looks like me. He's bald with a beard. And like you can definitely customize your character how you want to, customize clothing. And there's different things with the Koromon that you would expect. The battling feels like a Pokemon game. It's a very big game and it's got a pretty good level of polish to it. It just came out. It was being, I can't remember if it was early access or not, but it's on sale on Steam right now for 20% off. Normally it's $20. You can get it for 16 right now. There is a deluxe version of this that comes with the soundtrack, but this is made by Targsoft Games, which I don't know quite much more what they've done outside of this.
Not familiar with them.
But it is a modern take, as they call it, on the classic monster collecting game, creature collecting game. The graphics seem to be okay. It is pixel based. It has more DNA for some of the earlier Pokemon games, maybe some of the more modern takes on Pokemon games, but they're bringing some of the attributes that maybe you would want to expand upon, or maybe you would get in like some of those ROM hacks that you all play. I don't really know.
Sure.
But there's some cool stuff here with this one, and I think it's worth checking out. We'll probably do a quick look at this one here in the future. Maybe stream it someday on the show as well.
I don't think we've necessarily hit critical mass on this yet, but it feels like there are a lot of these out there. Like there's like the Nexamon games. There's there's Tim. What's it called?
Tim.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Ooblets for sure. Yeah, you mentioned all those ROM hacks for Pokemon stuff. But we're getting to a lot of these, and I guess does this one scratch an itch that other ones haven't for you, or does it just feel especially good? I mean, you said you only played 45 minutes, so I don't want to lock you into something.
It feels good. It's got a good feel to it. The battling mechanics seem to be pretty well thought out. Again, you can see like you're unlocking move sets at certain levels, and you have a pretty good line of sight to that. You're going in and you can tweak your Coromon a little bit more than what I think you could in other games. Like it feels like, again, like more of like an RPG in that aspect, that you're adding stuff to it. I think that the gauntlet abilities are kind of a neat take on it, and I think character customization, it just feels like a little bit more adapted to where we're at with like these types of games in present day. But still, to your point, I think a lot of us that grew up being influenced by these games are making these games now.
Yeah, and maybe the way that we hoped Pokemon would grow up and mature the way that we did, these developers are kind of taking that into their own hands.
Yeah, like you're finding like chests and shit in the open world, like the stuff you would expect from like an open world like exploration game. Like there's interactivity that you get out there. It's neat. It's neat for sure. So that's Coromon. More to come on that very early on it, but I wanted to at least plant a seed this week and say like, hey, I'm checking this game out, because it just came out March 31st as well on a full release. The game that I've spent the most time with by a long shot, I'm probably about 20 hours, maybe a little bit more into, is Weird West. And this is a game that I had been talking about like in anticipation here on the show. It had been pushed back from a January release to March, and I was very excited about the prospect of this game. It is made by, what's the exact name of them again? Wolfeye Studios, which is made up of ex-Arcane Studio. So some of the folks behind Prey and Dishonored, they've been working on this project. And Chase called out when we did our quick look, which is going to be going up on April 7th. Weird West is more of like a genre of like telling stories within a Western. So like a horror or a cult or science fiction take, like you jokingly said, Wild Wild West is considered to be a Weird West genre. And I didn't know a whole lot about going into this game, but one of the cool things about it was I thought you would just be creating a nameless character and exploring the Weird West. But quite the contrary here. This is actually 5 separate stories being told in this universe that are all interconnected. And so it is very cool how you are approaching what feels a lot like a book, like a very good book in my opinion. And each chapter is somehow carrying over little attributes into the next. And what I mean by this is like you start the game off as a bounty hunter named Jane Bell. Your family is gunned down in front of your house as you retired from it. When you go out to avenge, you dig up your irons, you set out to do all this, and you've got a very contained story about finding your husband, finding out why this gang did that, and then the game ends, and you're back in this really weird room, very occult-looking room, where you're being branded, and you start the game off as a Pigman. Well, on my playthrough as Jane, like I got attacked by Pigmen, which is wild, but then there was also this gang leader that like I never came across. I had ended up adding 2 allies into my posse, one of which being the sheriff of the town. I happen to be the Pigman. I go into another town. I pick up the newspaper. I find out that sheriff had been killed by the gang leader. And when I get into town, now I have a bounty to go and find that gang leader as the pig. I open the map up. I can go back to the homestead, and now the character that I played with, Jane, I can go and get her in my posse. And the cool thing is that all the gear that I had with Jane, she already has on her. So I can just move it over to the Pigman, and they've got this whole connected story where they're talking about shit, and now she's in my posse helping me with all of her abilities that I unlocked for her.
That's cool.
It's awesome.
Bobby, do you know how much that actually changes story stuff? Like, if you had been Jane and you did kill that bandit leader or whatever, would that sheriff still be alive if you came back through, or some things kind of locked in?
There's some things that happen with that sheriff that I was basically asked to keep a secret, and I don't want to spoil it, but like I could have let the cat out of the bag. I could have killed the sheriff because of this, and completely sidestepped this entire little sub thing that like I had no control over, but establish my story in a way that like it meant more to me. So like I had a vendetta because that was one of my posse that this person killed, so that I went and got their bounty and I fucking killed him. And like I had redemption in that for that sheriff that was on my team that's no longer there. And the crazy thing is in that world, her husband, who asked me to keep the secret, and her child, I was doing missions to basically bring them medicines. Like I was keeping this thing going with their family in the game that like had a depth to it that like neither one of you might have on this. And I didn't really do a whole lot. The game just kind of unfolded that way. And then another thing, like when I got done with the pig, I went on to play as another character, but your main guy that you're basically doing missions for and helping out, a random event that would happen in between traveling to two towns, he's in an altercation with another person, and you have a choice to make. Do you stand up for him? Do you help this other person, or do you not do anything at all? Well, because I was the Pigman and I did all this shit with him, I absolutely did it. Well, then he becomes a party member if you want him to be. But I'm now running through this game with the two prior people that I played with. And there's this whole running story that I make. Like I'm literally writing folklore in this game by unfolding all this stuff, and the way that these characters interact and work with one another. It is so fascinating, and it's effortless. It doesn't feel like a chore. I don't feel like I'm getting caught up in this paralysis of making good decisions. In a game that could be pretty expansive, when you chop it up in this way of like, I'm going to do like 4 or 5 main missions with each one of these characters and a handful of side missions, it's really cool. And there is some carryover of like perks you're unlocking that are already there, but each character has their own set of sub abilities that you can unlock. The game's just incredibly fascinating. I'm having so much fun with it. It's exceeded any expectations I have and really overachieving in that aspect.
That sounds a lot better than the... I feel like we kind of have two kinds of games, two ends of the spectrums when it comes to games that let you make choices. You've got your games on this side that's like your Mass Effects or even Triangle Strategy, which are, we're basically telling this story, and yeah, you can kind of take this decision or this decision, but they're gonna come back to the main story, and maybe you go a little bit like this, but you're sticking to it, and maybe at the end, like one thing's locked off from you, but you can take a couple other things. Like we're telling this story, but you can make a couple little choices. Or it's like a Skyrim kind of thing where it's, you can make a bunch of choices, none of them really matter, but like you can make a bunch of like world-changing choices that basically just say, well, you don't get to do this path anymore because you killed the vampire leader. You don't get to be a vampire anymore. You killed this quest giver, so you don't get this quest line. And nothing really matters because anything that actually matters, we're going to not let you fuck with. But like all the choices just feel really thin. And the way you're describing this, it sounds like a really good balance of both. Of we're finding ways of telling stories, but those stories do drastically change or feel like they drastically change based on the decisions you've made or the things that you didn't even know to do.
Yeah.
And that stuff sounds pretty cool.
One other thing I'll call out here, and slight spoiler, but not necessarily. So obviously, like the Pigman's kind of grotesque looking, and you find out like why that is.
Jerry.
He's a Pigman.
Yeah.
But I was like, well, dude, who in the fucking right mind is going to want to like let this guy just run into their town? And sure shit, when you go to the first town as a Pigman, they're like, get the fuck out of here, swine. Like, you do not belong here. Well, I know that...
Have you looked in a mirror lately? You're a Pigman.
But this is where the mission, like, you had to get something out of this town to like progress the mission forward. And I'm thinking, all right, well, I could stealth my way through it, and you can loiter and turn it to night and day, and like people go to bed, and it makes it a little bit easier. But I had like decided to go around this building, and I ended up coming across this church, and there's blue diamond icons over people who want to give you a mission, and like they'll be calling your name out or whatever, and they're like, "Hey, Snout, come here," because they're calling you your pig snout. And so you go over there, and they're like, "Hey, some bad shit happened in this other town. We know that you're down and out. We know that you're not wanted here. You do this, we'll make it to where you can walk freely in this town." So I'm like, well, fuck yeah, I'll take this mission. I just went around, left town, did the side quest, and then I had free reign in that town. I can easily walk in and do it. So, but I would have missed that. Like, had I went the other direction, I wouldn't have had that side counter open up that would allow me to walk into this town freely, like shop at the shops.
Lots of diverging paths.
Yeah, it's great, man. Like, it's so cool. It is so cool. Like, it's on Game Pass, $40.
Yeah, I've got maybe an hour I've put into it, and it's very encouraging to hear all those things, because I was digging the vibe whenever I first fired it up, and it seems really cool, and hearing you say all that stuff makes me excited to see more of it. Yeah,
I think you being a writer especially will find a lot of things that you would appreciate, because I feel like I'm telling a story, and I feel like the game has given me like all these really cool things to use to tell a story. Yeah, and it's almost like a storyboard. Like, I'm piecing it together.
We could both play through this game and have, it sounds like, pretty different experiences just by happenstance.
And they tell you that early in the game. They're like, hey, save often and kill as many people as you want to. You can kill anybody in the game. Like, anybody in the game can die.
Right. Fantastic. I'm going to just massacre this town I'm in.
I like how Bobby says that, Johnny, you'll probably like this game because you're a writer. I'm sitting right the fuck here.
You told me that you had no desire to play it, so I'm not...
It's not that. I'm a writer. I get paid to write. Johnny gets paid to fix computers, and he doesn't even fix them.
Then why do you think I'm trying to tell him?
He can't even fix his own computer.
It's and I just got a raise, and I'm just sitting here wondering who I tricked to make believe I could do this job fixing computers.
Wow, Johnny's the writer. Okay, well, I guess I'm the tech guy now.
So he meant from like a creative writing perspective.
Wow, get fucked, Jesus. Johnny.
Yeah, what Chase?
Now you're saying I'm not creative?
No.
Wow, that's okay. No, it's cool. It's cool. Fuck you guys.
I do think so, Chase. What I will say for you is that you had asked me a lot of questions, and I think that you ended up picking it up but not playing it, which is on brand as well. But
that does sound like me. What's the game this time?
Wasteland 3.
I have that. Did I buy that, or did I get that on PlayStation Plus? I think I bought that.
So there's a lot of similarities on like how you can kind of craft the story and like you can kill people, create vendettas, but this feels a lot better in my opinion on how it handles that, where it almost feels more tactile and this feels way more organic. Like there's a sense that like I'm not really trying to like game any of these stories to unfold the way they have, and like it's been a genuine surprise when like I've seen a bounty or came across an old friend or had to do something. And I'm really curious how all 5 of these stories are going to converge. And I'll go a step further. Octopath Traveler. I think if they would have approached the game in a similar fashion to where like you are playing through these different jobs that they have for these people, and like maybe they cut that game up versus these are just all people who like don't really overlap in an interesting way, there could have been something cool with that, like how this game handles different characters that have some sort of like common thread between them. I think would have been a neat way of approaching that. But $40, it's on PlayStation. Or at least
like a more player driven thing. Like you said, like you didn't have to go back to Jane's homestead and pick her up, but you made the choice to do that. Whereas Octopath, like, yeah, you can choose whether to go left or right when you start the game, and that kind of chooses which characters you get, but you have to pick them all up to get the story pass. Like you're not going to miss a character, because that's just not how that game works. And this definitely seems a little bit more active in that way. Also, like combat wise, it's real time combat.
It is, and they also do. There's like 5 different weapon types in the game, but they keep like it's like stubbies I think it's like Stubby's shotgun. It's like a type of shotgun. It's a named shotgun. And it starts off as common. And then you might find a green one. And then there's a blue one, a purple, and then an orange. But there are materials that you can find in the game. So there's copper, silver, gold. And if you have enough of those, you can just upgrade a weapon at a blacksmith yourself. And I was actually going to tell Johnny that just now, because you can go back and get people that you played the game with. So like if you end the story and they're holding on to a gun that you had worked, you can just, so any of your companions like Skyrim, you can open up their inventory. So like when you're out exploring, you can just dump shit on them. They go back to town and sell it. So like I just been moving these guns across each character. So like I'm now on like purple level weapons that like I've just naturally upgraded through each one of these playthroughs. So like as I'm playing it, I have my weapons with me. And then I'm now acquiring higher level stuff that I put onto my companions. And so there's gear that you get for protection that has some elemental stuff on it. And there's amulets that you can socket into your character that do other things as well. But there's a really great way of carrying those over and having that go. So don't be afraid to upgrade a weapon or that you would lose that weapon, because you can just move it across your characters as you're going through the story. And again, like you can dismiss companions at any time of the game, and it does use a reputation system. So like some people want to be your companions, others won't. Really cool stuff that happens with that. But just know that you will have a chance to get all that back. And then in the first town you go to, the bank, you can buy for like $150 a safety deposit box. And that's like a universal stash between everybody that you have.
Cool.
So
Nice.
Weird West, it's on Xbox, it's on Game Pass, PC, and PlayStation, $40. But an absolute fucking banger for Game Pass. Please play this game. It's very good. Our quick look will be going up on April 7th. And if you're listening to this on Friday after we've recorded it live, go check that out on youtube.com/casualar. Johnny, you're playing Weird West.
And you also played this on Monday too. So
yeah,
we got to watch that stream.
We do have an archive stream. Played through a good portion of the Pigman journey on Monday night in Weird West.
Pigman Journey.
it's my prog rock band.
I'll write it down.
Johnny, you said that you've been playing an hour of this. Anything else that you wanted to give a hot take on before moving on to the other games?
No, it makes a very good first impression. And it's interesting to hear you describe it, knowing that one of the co-founders of Arcane, right? Mm-hmm. Is the head of the studio, and seeing all the design philosophies and things like that carry over into a very different style,
almost a CRPG almost.
Yeah
it definitely feels like they said, well, what if we brought all the stuff we learned making Dishonored, and we decided to put that into a Fallout game, like Fallout 1 and 2. Like, what if we just did that? And
that's a very good way to break it down.
And it's definitely, I got that kind of vibe. I talked about Kirby with Chase, Tunic. So I have been playing games, but I kind of, after I beat Elden Ring, and I sunk like 90 hours into that in a month, which is a lot for me. I kind of...
A lot for anybody, but it's a lot for you.
Yeah. I took a little bit of... I did. I got credits.
That's your one for the year.
Exactly. But whenever I have taken time to play games, the thing I've been playing the most is Tunic. And...
Can't be mad about that.
Yeah, and maybe some more Elden Ring. But we don't need to talk about that. And tonight, before the podcast, I said, I'm going to ring the second bell. This Garden Knight is a son of a bitch, and was just kicking the shit out of me. And I was like, why is this so hard? And I realized I hadn't upgraded Tunic at all.
That's exactly what happened to me, and I beat him, you motherfucker. Get good. Get on my level,
and
Johnny, you fucking
Soulsborne.
Did you
beat him without upgrading?
Yes.
Oh my god.
Who's the Dark Souls now, bitch?
That was a terrible fight.
Well, let me ask you this. I hear a lot of people talk about, when they talk about Tunic, they say, oh, it's so cool that when I go through this dungeon, I go out this door and and holy shit, like I'm back at the beginning, and I could have just gone into this place at any moment, and I just didn't even know it was there. I've never heard somebody say, hey, I found... nobody goes into it the other way. Nobody's like, oh, I was in the starting area and I explored it and I found like my way into this dungeon that's like 4 dungeons where I past where I should be at this point. Like nobody's ever said that. It's always just like, holy shit, I can't believe it threw me back out. Like, have you guys had any of those moments when you?
I've had some hidden paths and things that I've stumbled upon that I feel like took me to an area maybe I shouldn't have been yet. But and then I got past an enemy that I think that maybe was intentionally there to keep you from progressing, but I cheesed him a little bit. And
talking about the guy on the bridge.
Yeah. And I went north and kept going north, and then I finally made it to an area that looked really cool. But the basic like mob enemies just
gas mask
wrecked me, and I was like, okay, I need to go back and figure out what's going on back here.
Okay,
Chase, I would say this, like the way that I think one of the reasons you're hearing that is by looking at things in the game, they do not seem like you can go through them. And
right, like, oh, there's like a rope ladder here, but you'd never be able to see it, or this was 100% hidden by a tree. But at the same time, like, you could, it's theoretical to walk over there, so I imagine somebody probably has. I just haven't heard any of those stories.
Well, the other thing too is that like you get the manual that you have in the game is dispersed across the map, and as you're getting those things, like it becomes a bit more apparent. Like one of the things that like where Johnny was at, there's an ability that like I didn't know you could do for a while that would open up. When he went north, it would open up a pathway that goes past some of those and like unlocks further things for him to get there. But like you wouldn't know about that till later on. And even with what he's talking about, like I even saw the page for the Garden Knight where it shows you attack and defense at 3 and 3. But I'm like, okay, but the game does not tell you how to do that.
I got a little frustrated. And I was like, fuck it. Let's look up a strat for this guy. Like he's just kicking my ass every time. I'm not getting him past like below 3/4 of his health. And then there's a little line in there. It was like, make sure that you upgrade your guy at the bonfire equivalent. I was like, what? God damn it. Because I had all these items that I'd collected. And it's like, okay, there's got to be some, like, how do I use these? Is this just passive? Is it like I'm collecting these and it's like, am I not seeing what it's doing? But no, you open your inventory while you're next to this thing, the shrine, and you have these items that you've collected, and you pay however many gold coins to increase that stat. And it says it in the goddamn manual.
I know, dude. I told you in the quick look. Everything, literally everything that you need to know about this game is right in the manual.
And it's maddening and beautiful, and it's really like I'm astounded that a single person developed this game.
I know.
I'd be really interested in watching like an AGDQ. I want to see somebody speedrun this and see somebody who knows how to sequence break correctly and use those different paths and use all that knowledge that you gain throughout the playing of the game and use that from the very beginning and just find ways of breaking the thing because they know all the secret stuff. That sounds like that'd be kind of cool to me.
I think that you even asked a question like, yeah, you did, because when we did the quick look, I had just gotten New Game Plus. Like, why is there a New Game Plus for this? And I legitimately think it's because the developer, you can tell that dude loves watching quick runs. I mean, he built his game to be quick ran. Like, there's no doubt about it. And I think having that New Game Plus really does it. Like, I would love to see that myself. I'm so happy you're playing it, Johnny, because I gotta say, it's making me feel pretty good about myself to know that I was able to beat that Garden Knight on 1 and 1.
This guy gave me more trouble than Melania
I mean,
and Elden Ring, which
Hell
is
yeah.
like
Elden Ring sounds like baby game to me.
Yeah.
I'm hearing.
This is the real challenge. And this is, I think, a perfect follow up to Elden Ring for me.
Yeah, I
in
can
a
see
lot
that.
of ways.
Also, have you guys found the thing that lets you customize your character? I heard somebody
Yes.
talking about that. Okay.
So on my New Game Plus one, I have a Gray Fox.
Oh, Gray Fox, you say?
I love that game, man.
I'm really liking it a lot. I've got it on my Xbox as well as my PC. It looks real good running at 144 FPS on my.
Does it play okay on the Xbox?
It's great. Yeah, it's super smooth. That's
cool,
what I've been up to.
So you played Kirby in the Forgotten Land. You just started Weird West. You're about an hour in, you said.
Mm-hmm.
And how far would you say you just rang the second bell in Tunic?
I just rang the second bell, so I don't know where that puts me in the overall story, but I feel like I played this game for about 3 hours, maybe.
Okay.
3-4 hours.
Awesome. Well, I think that's going to wrap up our game segment. Let's head over into the news for the Casual Report.
Yeah.
And see what's been happening on there.
Well, PlayStation Plus. Okay, this is all new PlayStation Plus launches in June. So I don't know how in the weeds we want to get with this stuff.
I mean, at this point, it's a pretty old story. We didn't talk about it before because we had the preview episode.
I think the most interesting things that came out of this was Jim Ryan saying we're not going to put our first-party titles day and date the way the Game Pass does.
Which makes a certain amount of sense. I mean, they can't afford it the way that Microsoft can afford it.
And the phrase virtuous cycle, which is just the most corporate speak phrase I've heard in a while, but I also kind of love it, even though it's so nonsense.
It does sound like some Metal Gear bullshit, doesn't it?
Yeah. Oh, the virtuous cycle. Anyway. So yeah, there's going to be 3 tiers. PlayStation Now is melding with PS Plus with is it the highest tier?
It goes there's like a good, better, best, right? And so the one that starts it off is what you have today, where you get a couple free games a month. You can play online with people.
$10 a month.
The second tier is where they start to integrate the PS Now up to 400 games. And then the third tier is where they introduce the 700 total. Yeah. Yeah,
and it has cloud streaming and it has PS3 games, but they have to be streamed. There's no emulation, which is
I mean that's the sucky thing. Because they could do the work to make the emulation work. Especially with these systems that feel like they are going forward where backwards compatibility in everything. Like everything from a PS4 can play on a PS5. So at this point, you're kind of just hamstringing some of your history in that, hey, we don't have like a way. If the internet's down, you have no way of playing your PlayStation 3 games, and those are just dead and gone.
And the fact that Xbox has every generation of their consoles represented.
Not every game. Like there's certainly like you're not going to be able to play some old Tony Hawk games or some shit like that. But yeah, like Microsoft has definitely done more work on that end, which is good. And I mean, I know the cell processor or whatever made that so hard to develop for, and probably makes emulation kind of a nightmare. But also, you're fucking Sony. You made the thing. You can figure it out. And you should do it. And just because you have some kind of bullshit solution that halfway works sometimes,
I
just think it kind of sucks.
I wish that they would have done. I understand that they can't do everything because of just the nature of the Vita itself. But any game that was capable of being on the Vita TV, I would have loved to see them bring that over here to be able to play some of those games still.
Hey, they got a touchpad on their controller.
I get that too. But I when you look at the other thing too is like they were talking about, and I don't want to spend a lot of time on this, but they mentioned that they wouldn't be doing day and date like what you get on Game Pass with their first party releases. And what I'm curious about is, are we going to see, like, what's the cycle? Because I believe that when this goes live in June,
Virtuous. That's what the
it's a
cycle is.
virtuous cycle.
Sorry, my mistake. Is that there would be at least a year that these games have been out, and I'm guessing that that's going to be the target, that a lot of these newer PlayStation 5 games will be out and about for a year and then end up on this service. So I think
and also I that can be really appealing if you're somebody, because people are still struggling to get PS5s.
Yeah.
If you're a person who is just able to finally get their hands on a PS5.
Yeah.
You get a service like this, and now you get access to a library of PS5 games right away. It kind of makes sense for somebody like us who have been able to, luckily enough, secure PS5s and been playing on these. Like, I don't need God of War to come to this. One, because I already played God of War. Two, it's like, it's fine. Like, we're like that. That's not
right.
We're done with that. We're past that at this point. We're waiting for the new God of War at this point. And then we'll be waiting another year for it to show up on a service like this.
Yeah.
They also didn't say what third-party support would look like. So I don't know if maybe there will be some things that come early there for third-party. And they did talk about game preview, where you have like a game trial for some stuff at that highest tier, which, again, I don't know what that looks like. So is it...
Demos.
Well, yeah. Do you get like an hour, or is it a level, or whatever it would be? Who knows?
Yeah.
I don't think that they showed enough of that stuff to get people super excited, because I think people are too latched on to the stark comparison to Game Pass.
It was a week where we had some people in games media saying, "Oh man, PlayStation's cooking something up good."
Yeah,
potentially, and then this kind of just.
Yeah, I mean, PlayStation Now has already been this limping thing that just seems like this kind of albatross around Sony's neck, and to fix it, they're just attaching it to PlayStation Plus, and I don't think that's.
Yeah,
I don't think that's really fixing anything, and it feels like, if anything, it's just making PlayStation Plus seem worse.
Yeah,
I guess I'm still gonna keep my basic tier of PlayStation Plus. I like getting the couple free games every month.
Yeah,
and I still like playing games on my PS5, but you guys know I don't like subscription services. That's just not the way I like to have things, like to consume things. And PlayStation Now has done nothing for me. I would be more inclined to just pull my PS3 out and play any of those games, or find physical discs to play those things.
Yeah, man.
Which I know is not something everybody wants to do.
I'm kind of with you on that, Chase. Like at this rate, my PlayStation 5 and my Switch are just exclusive machines. And so if this was something that let me play those exclusive games earlier, I'd sign up for it, because I'm going to keep I like the PlayStation Plus service. It's fine. And I've got it now where for the last 3-4 years, every holiday I ask for a 12-month subscription to it. And it's just one of those things where, like, that nets me a handful of games every year that I may or may not play. And I'm no longer paying for that service. Like, it's just something that somebody gives me, because I'm playing games at a pace that, like, I don't wait for somebody to give me games like I did when I was younger. I just buy them when they come out. And then that's a great, like, the services mean more to me anyway. So I don't see a need to upgrade myself. And at the way we're going, like, Horizon and God of War are kind of it for my PlayStation this year, if God of War does come out.
And also, like, emulation is getting better and better all the time. You can pretty much play every PS1 and PS2 game on PCs, even on Mac. I was able to figure out how to make a PS2 emulator work on a Mac, and I have a feeling those crazy bastards are gonna crack that cell processor and make PS3 work someday. I bet that day is way before Sony does it.
I mean, I heard that the Mister has, like, PS1, like, pretty damn good PS1 at a very early stage right now, and there's such a good library on those too. Like, the PS1 and PS2 have an amazing game library, and I'm pretty sure that there would even be a way on that Steam Deck to fuck around with that thing. And
why play Gran Turismo 7 when you could just play Gran Turismo 3 A-Spec on your PS2 emulator?
There you go.
It'll never go down.
That's true.
They won't ask you for any microtransactions. Like that.
I guess my closing thought on this one would be I haven't been super fond of the stance Sony's taken on a few things over the last few years. And unfortunately, like, this kind of just feels like more of the same in that camp. And really it started when that E3, when they put everybody in the church and then walked them through stuff. And it just was a really weird approach to...
That's for a game you like, though.
Oh, yeah, I love the game. But I don't know, like, it just seems like this is how we're going to do it. And I think that they knew what people were wanting, and the whole weird commentary on, like, what that would look like for their bottom dollar. I don't want to say like Sony's arrogant. Like, that's not what I'm trying to get at. But I
think they have been, but both of them have been arrogant. We've gone through this cycle before.
It just feels very much like
virtuously, yes,
the virtuous cycle of that post PS2 era Sony going into PS3 in a lot of ways.
Yeah, I mean, yes, there's the Sony that's out there saying you'll get a second job to get your PlayStation 3, and there's also the Sony that says here's how you can share used games with your friends.
Right.
Like there's we've seen this happen.
Yeah.
And I don't think Sony's necessarily in like in a high spot right now. I don't think they're way ahead of Xbox or anything. At this moment, I'm not sure if anybody's way ahead of the other one. But it certainly doesn't seem... This move doesn't seem more like an arrogant Sony. It seems more like an ignorant Sony.
That's a great way to put it.
That's not sure of what people actually want out of their service.
Yeah.
Yep. For sure. Cool. What else we got, Johnny?
Did you guys ever play the Monkey Island games back in...
I didn't. I know they're very well loved.
Well, I got some good news. If you're a fan of those games, Ron Gilbert and David Grossman are back after more than 30 years away from this franchise to make a direct sequel to Monkey Island 2. So that's... I know a lot of people were very, very excited about that announcement when it came out yesterday. Tim Schafer, who also worked on those games, of course, is busy at Double Fine, so he won't be involved. But still, you have two of the original people making a whole new game, and it's this year. It's coming out. I don't think they gave a date.
Did they say Game Pass for that? I thought that was a Game Pass game.
Maybe that sounds really early to announce something like that.
See anything in this article that mentions Game Pass, but you never know. I wouldn't put it past Microsoft to add that to Game Pass day one.
Yeah.
In less surprising news, Breath of the Wild 2 has been pushed back to 2023.
What?
In the spring. Yeah, I was trying to be optimistic and thinking maybe it'll come out this holiday, but in my heart of hearts, I was like, this isn't coming out this year.
Well, they got to make room for Metroid Prime 4.
That's true. That's very true, Chase. That's an excellent point. So yeah, Aonuma, Nintendo put out a 90-second video with Aonuma coming out, looking fresh with that haircut.
Yeah, I think the biggest news is look at Aonuma's haircut. Because the news about Breath of the Wild.
Yeah.
I don't know why you needed... What was it? Was it like a 3-minute video?
No, it was a minute and a half.
Minute and a half. Okay, 90
like,
seconds.
Yeah, with like a brief... Like some very, very brief new footage that we hadn't seen before.
Was that even new footage? It didn't look that new.
Like seconds. Like it was...
They showed off the Master Sword.
Yeah.
Did it look tired?
It looked dead.
It looks exhausted.
It's like...
Bad.
It looks like it's been chewed up and melted.
Yeah. Yeah, so quote here, in order to make this game's experience something special, the entire development team is working diligently on this game, so please wait a while longer. It's a very standard boilerplate kind of corporate messaging there. You know, this year has been so bountiful already for me, with the potential to, like, if God of War Ragnarok comes out, I'm sure I will like that game. I can wait for Zelda. Like, I've got enough really good games that I played through and am continuing to play this year. So, not
I know it's not comparable, but and it's just really unfair to make a comparison like this. But you had Ocarina of Time, and then the next wasn't it just the next year you had Majora's Mask come out, and you could make that work because you're using a lot of the same assets, you're using the same gameplay engine, that kind of stuff, and then Capcom was able to put out Oracle of Seasons and Oracle of Ages at the same time.
Yep.
For similar reasons. Similar that they were both of those games are based off the same stuff, but also that they're based on Link's Awakening, so like a lot of that work was already done.
Yeah.
I don't expect Breath of the Wild 2 to have like a general mechanics that are completely different from Breath of the Wild, right? Like, you guys are expecting this game to play. Like, you expect Link to move around at the same speed and all the physics to be the same way.
I think that's going to be the same for the most part, but I think...
It looks like they're adding new powers and stuff.
Yeah, I don't think you're going to use the slate. And I think
the same was true for Majora's Mask. You didn't have the mask mechanic I mean, you had masks, but you didn't have the mask mechanic.
I don't know. Like, given the amount of development time that this game has had, I'm not quite sure what to expect. I know that there's going to be like stuff in the sky, and I don't know. Like, it's completely.
Sure, I'm with you on that. But like, it's.
But it's still going to be that version of Hyrule.
Yeah, that was my thinking.
Yeah,
I was watching the Game Maker's Toolkit developing series, which is a really good series. People should go check that out. Mark Brown, a guy who has not made a video game before, or not made a full video game before, decided like, hey, I'm gonna make a video game and I'm gonna document me making it. And one of the things as he was making his little prototype is that he learned that, wait a minute, the movement of my character isn't right. That was one of the main pieces of feedback that he got from people after they played the demo, the prototype. And to fix that, he's got to change the way the character moves. But once you change how the character moves, you have to change everything else about the game, because all your jumps that you made are based on how this character jumps and the speed it goes, and things like that. So an extremely core part of making a game, maybe the biggest part, the part that you take a long time making, is just movement. How does this character feel? How do they do their physics stuff and any of that stuff? So if you already have that because you've made Breath of the Wild, I would think that you'd be able to just kind of keep making more interesting assets and more new kind of stuff that shouldn't take as long as making a fully brand new game from scratch, because you have some stuff to go off. And again, that's not fair. And to Johnny's point, like, my expectations now for Breath of the Wild 2 are way different because they have taken so much time. I would expect this game to feel a lot different from Breath of the Wild, fundamentally. Yep. Because they've taken so much time.
Yeah.
So I'm really interested to see what they do.
I agree.
I feel like there's a quote, like, they had so many ideas left that they just couldn't get to in that first game, that's what prompted them to make this sequel.
Yeah.
And
I mean, and that's how we got Super Mario Galaxy 2.
Yeah. Or maybe I'm okay. Yeah. Maybe I'm misattributing my quotes to.
I think the quote you're looking for is a rushed game is bad forever, but a delayed game is eventually good. I believe.
Right.
Yeah.
That's exactly it. Thank you, Chase. Yeah. So we'll play that next year. I'm very much looking forward to it. All right. A few more stories here. So the Fortnite
follow-up to our earlier story.
Yeah, exactly. They took the building out of Fortnite, and now the building is back, but they have a permanent playlist if you are wanting to continue playing Fortnite without the thing that made Fortnite different from other similar style shooters. I Jude and I haven't played Fortnite for a few weeks, so I haven't actually played this mode, this no building mode, with him.
People
do like building.
You know, when we were in it and he was building up around us, and I was like, yes, it made it a lot of fun because we were in a spot in the circle, and we got to kind of strategize. Like, okay, well, we're covered on all sides now, so we could just kind of hang out here and pick people off as they come out of the woodwork. So it does add a cool aspect to it that you don't have in those other battle royale games. So
it does seem like a generational thing. Like if you grew up playing Fortnite, if that's what you got introduced to, then building's just second nature to you. But if you're old guys like us, but like you get to the point where like I'm used to playing Call of Duty. We didn't have no fucking building in Call of Duty, so it feels a little weird. It's like a psycho. It's a change that you're not used to have to now think about. Oh, how do I do this building stuff now too? So the idea that they took out building in the first place, I remember seeing a bunch of rejoicing on Twitter, like, oh man, I'm gonna finally show these kids what's what, and that's probably true. Because those kids are playing with like a whole skill set that just makes the game fundamentally different for them.
Yeah,
I think that it's an interesting and bold move for them. We talked about that the last time we covered this, and clearly there's something about the current state of battle royale games, and I think that Apex has done incredibly well. And a lot of the more mature gamers, when I say mature, I don't mean that like in their sensibility, but just their age, have kind of gravitated towards that, where I've seen a lot of people, the old heads, as they say, on Discords and Twitter talking about really digging Fortnite without that.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
I mean, we talk about, hey, Fortnite took out the thing that made Fortnite, but it's not like other games haven't done that too. Like Apex Legends is a game about having teams of 3 that have complementary skill sets, and yet they've definitely made modes at different times that are, hey, this is a mode where it's singles, where you're just playing by yourself, and yeah, you get to pick any of the heroes that you want, but those heroes, like they don't have complementary skill sets anymore because there's nobody to complement. You're playing on your own, playing solo. So that is kind of, hey, we made Warzone or we made PUBG. It's just in the Apex Legends skin at this point, and Fortnite's did a similar thing. I do wonder how much it splits if this without building as a permanent mode. How much does that split a user base?
So
but then again, your user base is so huge that probably that doesn't matter. I guess the bigger question is how much of the stuff that makes Fortnite outside of building, your, hey, Doctor Strange is in this season, or your concerts. I don't know how fucking Fortnite works, but when you do all your Fortnite shit, is all the weird Fortnite shit going to be in both of those playlists? Or is the no building mode going to kind of be like, okay, yeah, we know it's no building, and we're also not going to put any of our strange shit in there because it's like a whole separate mode that we made specifically to be a more hardcore audience kind of thing.
I was wondering also, like, at what point in time, if they're really going for this metaverse, right? Do they allow you to create yourself in this game? Like, allow you to create a character versus these skinned characters that they would have, and let you.
Oh, well, there's not nearly as much money in that.
Yeah, like people don't want to be themselves in Fortnite. They want to be Hot Dog. They want to be Spider-Man. Yeah,
sure, but think about the 360 dashboard avatars and the game. Like,
we're old. What are you talking about?
I'm talking about, like, you could buy a fucking Halo Master Chief outfit to wear on your character. You could buy a little Warthog RC car. Like, there's
but in
things
Fortnite you can just be Master Chief. You can.
I get that.
But also you can buy skins in Fortnite too. I'm sorry. What are you saying here, Bobby?
I'm saying, why couldn't I like go in, create a character, and then buy a Stormtrooper outfit in game to put on my character if I wanted to do something like that. Like, why not allow you to have your character versus like I'm playing as the hot dog man going to the Travis Scott concert. Like, if they really want this to be like this Ready Player One, like full immersive experience, like could they ever get to a point where they introduce like character creation and then outfits and skins and stuff that you could buy and equip on that character?
I think you want Roblox. You want Roblox.
You should just play
and if you want Roblox, you should. Well, you shouldn't. You shouldn't play Roblox. No one should play Roblox.
Yeah, that's true.
Oh boy.
What's the next story, Johnny?
Unreal Engine 5 is out.
Oh, more epic shit.
Yep. And I think the most interesting thing about UE5, because we've known it's been in development for like pre-release for years now.
Is Fortnite in Unreal 4?
I assume so.
I wonder if they'd make a version of Fortnite in UE5.
Probably. I bet that's a thing that they're doing.
A new playlist.
But yeah, interestingly,
that's why they had to take out building.
Exactly.
Unreal 5 doesn't allow it.
But yes, I don't. Did you guys talk about this last week? CD Projekt Red is making the next Witcher game in UE5. They have their own engine that they've used that they're no longer using. The Coalition at Microsoft, and the new Tomb Raider game that they just announced, Crystal Dynamics, is also going to use UE5. So it must be impressing all these developers that have in-house engines, or maybe other ones that they've been working with.
I imagine it's more just an ease of use thing. Like Unreal's been around for a very long time now.
Yeah,
people have used Unreal in many different aspects. I bet for a lot of developers, it's really easy just to say, you know what, the engine that we made has a lot of weird bugs in it and a lot of shit that we have to deal with. What if we just went with the guys who make the engine and pay for their blood money for it?
Community of people that you can share tips, and if you're moving from studio to studio, hey,
probably makes it a lot easier for recruiting to that point. Yeah.
But yeah. Finally, last story. This is just for me. This is for Johnny.
Okay.
Dune Spice Wars, the 4X game that was announced late last year, come in early access at the end of this month, and I'm very, very excited about it. And they revealed that the Fremen will be the fourth playable faction in this. So I will definitely be picking this up.
What are their three?
The Harkonnens.
Sure.
Smugglers. And the Atreides.
Who are the smugglers?
I think they're just like bandits, like pirates.
Okay, because I knew Atreides and I knew Harkonnen and I know Fremen. I watched a movie. Like those, I thought those were the three factions. So to hear that there's a fourth faction and it's one of the ones you thought it was.
Frog factions.
There you go. Thank you. That's good. That's good, Bobby. If we didn't already have a title for this podcast, that would have been it.
It's just called A Faction of Smugglers.
Wow. So, they really maybe they could have had you go and be a creative writer for him.
No, Chase is the writer.
You don't get to make fun of him for being a writer after making fun of me for not being a writer indirectly.
It's Bobby, chaotic evil over there.
Appreciate you taking us through the news there, Johnny. A lot of fun stuff. Let's bring this show home. We've got a pretty big week. I feel like I say that a lot these days, but we did a quick look. I'm sorry. We had a really fun stream Monday night. Well, I had a stream Monday night while Chase watched basketball. I went to the Weird West.
Didn't go well. I didn't have fun watching the basketball.
Damn it. Sorry to hear that. So there's an archive stream up on YouTube and Twitch of that. We had a quick look go up for Kirby and the Forgotten Land, where we go a little bit deeper into our thoughts on where that game is. Tonight, we told you all about those games that we've been playing. On the 7th of April, we'll be posting a new quick look for Weird West. And on Friday, April 8th, Johnny and I are going to be checking out Daimyo. And I am so excited to be playing that on PC after spending some time in VR. That comes out on the 7th for PC. There's a demo you can download right now. I gotta tell you, it plays pretty damn good in a PC setting as well. So we will do our best dungeon crawling and trying to make Tiny Tina proud of how to play a Dungeons and Dragons game on
Stop it.
Friday night.
No.
If you want to follow along with us, you can do so by going to thecasualhour.com, youtube.com/casualhour for those quick looks. A lot of fun stuff happening on the show. Would love to have you all there. If you can, like, subscribe, comment, all the things to support us. If you could, we would appreciate it. At the Casual Hour, wherever you do your social networking. Chase, you talked about it earlier. You and Johnny doing a little Nuzlocke adventure. What's going on with Gamers on the Go and Chase K Plays?
Sure. Friend of the show, Jiggy-san, put up his list of his top 25 Game Boy Advance games of all time. So that article is up there to read on gamersonthego.com. And as some more stuff comes out, we'll probably put a new episode of GOTG out at some point. And then Johnny and I are playing that Nuzlocke still. You can search for Chase K Plays on YouTube or click the link that's there in the chat right now and go watch us. Hopefully finish that real soon. We're there.
We're close.
We're
Hell yeah.
right at the 8th gym leader. We're gonna finish that off, and then it's on to the Elite Four. And looking forward to getting that finalized.
Very
That's
cool.
about it.
That's going to be our show tonight. Like we said, follow along where you can. Tune in. Have a great time. And we'll be back live Friday night right here on twitch.tv/casual hour with a little Casual Friday lovin' from Bobby and Johnny. We'll see you all then. Take care.